to be ready to have that elevator speech.
Thank you, Michael. And so thinking about getting buy-in from those in power, does anybody have any comments, because if you don't, I will, about getting buy-in? Molly.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to add is, which has to do with buy-in, is we have to get buy-in from our central office people as well. It can't just be in our own buildings. We have to get human resources to get on board and understand what bilingual education is, and then they have to be committed to getting out there recruiting and retaining bilingual classified and certified staff. Otherwise, it's us in our buildings beating the bushes and competing with each other, trying to find that one or two, special teacher or instructional assistant that is going to move our programs forward. If HR isn't on board, we're fighting a very tough battle. So go to your superintendent first and say, we need them trained. They need to attend conferences to understand what this is.
Mm-hmm. And so I would add, in North Clackamas, the legacy right now is that it was our board's idea to open El Puente. I had been planning with a group of parents for a year, but as an ESL coordinator, I was showing them the graph that Jonathan showed you earlier and looking at achievement. And I didn't say the B word because it wasn't time. They weren't ready. All we did was look at student achievement, our current programs, and it did eventually come from them. Speaking of HR, Molly, that's a good segue. What about the teacher piece? As your programs were starting, or even now, one of our challenges is the recruitment and retaining of bilingual teachers. Has anybody got the answer? We are all competing for the same teacher. And so I'd love to hear if there's a district that has an HR department that's done something deliberately with you to be strategic about that.
Well, I remember years ago when I was in Portland, we took a team, HR actually took a team down to California, set up a booth at OABE, and we also went around to all the universities in the area, in the San Francisco area. Were you part of that at that time?
The OABE piece, not the...
But so we were broken up into teams, and we went to all of the different universities in the area and met with the guidance counselors or somebody at the universities, and gave them our card and told them who we are and told them what we're looking for and made contacts there. It didn't really go anywhere, but that was an idea that I think has possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Rebecca?
So in Portland, we're lucky enough to have some specialists in HR who actually focus on this and trying to recruit teachers of color and trying to get bilingual educators in here. So they go through an extensive process of recruiting and screening applicants, and we've already had a round of interviews for teachers, and we're looking to possibly offer some letters of intent, even though we don't know specifically where they would be. So that's one of the things that we do to help.
Juan from Washington.
I just want to share, I think it's never too early to start looking at those critical pieces in policy and what changes need to happen if you really truly are committed to a K-12 system. And in Woodburn, our strategic plan calls for that in a K-12 system. And one specific opportunity that we have created with a partnership with PSU is the Bilingual Pathway Program to try to retain and identify those educational assistants who are in the system and could be, with support, to be utilized as desk teachers in the system.
Thank you. North Clack?
So in addition to that, I'm going to piggyback a little bit on you, Juan. We have started a partnership, and we're developing a plan to start recruitment from high school students. So we're planning on using our Sabin-Schellenberg Center as a pathway for teaching with classes offered. So when the students graduate from Sabin, they will have an associate's degree guided towards teaching. So we haven't figured it out, but we're working on it.
Excellent. Great idea. Sarah Stiles?
I can't speak really to the recruitment piece of bilingual teachers, but being a bilingual teacher working in immersion for 13 years, I think one of the biggest challenges is once you've recruited them, how do you keep them in? And I think that, thinking about full spectrum, just coming into a district and not having the resources that were needed. Many of us have spent very long weekends and very late nights and time during the summer working, which is amazing and wonderful and builds very strong camaraderie, but is exhausting. And so I think one of the things that's been really beneficial and that I'm seeing here in Portland now is that there is a curriculum their teachers are not having to develop that from the ground up. And I think that that is really going to help with teacher exhaustion and burnout.
Thank you. Susan?
So it is with hesitation that I would take on the subject of HR, being that I'm in Beaverton and we've been in the news because of our layoffs and transfers. And prior to that time, I would say our HR department had done an excellent job working with us in two-way immersion schools to recruit, and they arranged for opportunities for TWE principals to do outreach at the education fair, and that had actually resulted in hiring some excellent teachers, and they really understood our needs and worked with us. What got us this last summer was the rules you alluded to that have to do with TSPC, where we lost 4 years worth of hiring, and the seniority piece meant that our staff became more monolingual. So I think the piece for me is, as a two-way immersion principal, you can't think just about hiring for your program. You have to think about hiring bilingual people for your school. And there's a lot of good reason to have bilingual people in your school, but you really need to be thinking much longer term than that one opening that you have in the program. You have to just build capacity for growth and to keep you in those lean times when you're likely to lose people because of budget realities.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's great advice.